All right, guys. So I was gonna go ahead and just prep all of these poles, but honestly, I feel like if I'm already doing the work, I might as well finish touching up all the other poles that I already have up. That way, I don't have to touch them for the rest of the summer because right now I'm lucky it's still not too hot, but it is gonna heat up very, very quickly. So might as well do all the hard stuff, all the most labor intensive and all the most labor intensive stuff right now. That way I have it out of the way and I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the summer. So here's one of the poles that came unattached. The little piece from up there just slipped off. You can even see the little eye bolt still hanging onto the shade cloth. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this down. And I have it attached only with zip ties. I have some metal zip ties on there as well as some of the plastic ones. I like the plastic ones because I feel like I can get the pole a lot closer to the T-post, like a lot more snug. And then the metal ones also work really good, but I feel like they're just a little bit looser. I don't know how to tighten them. But the good thing is that all of them can be removed and then the pole will be easy to take down. So even if the sun goes down, I might just focus on taking down the rest of the shade cloth. I needed to switch out the black one anyways, because that was some leftover shade cloth that I had in Serendipity a long time ago, and I wanted to finish covering up that area, so I used it right there. But I have some white one that I ordered from Be Cool Solutions. I always go for the white shade cloth now. I've tried the black and the white, and even having it set up over the winter time, there was a huge difference in the growth of plants that were underneath the black shade cloth versus the plants that were underneath the white. The ones that were underneath the white, for the most part, were not stretching for any light. They were still growing steadily. The ones that were underneath the black shade cloth did start to stretch for light. So I definitely want to switch it out. The white one I feel is way more expensive than the black shade cloth, but it's also a lot more durable. It has been like pulled back and forth through crazy storms and it's still holding up great, even though there are a couple of tears here and there. And I feel like it takes quite a bit of force to get tears in them, whereas a black shade cloth would tear really, really easily no matter what. So right now I'm going to focus on taking down all of these. And then I might have to pound some of these T-posts a little bit deeper into the wall, but that's okay. I don't mind doing that. Okay, so let me start off with this one, and let me go get my pruners because I need my pruners for this. Oh, see, I wanted to paint today. I don't know if I'll get to, but I might as well just take the time to do a better job in the first place. That way I don't have to go back in and touch things up later on, because I always wind up regretting it if I try and take shortcuts. So how do I get these metal ones off? That's the one thing I wasn't 100% sure about. Oh, maybe I need some like little pliers or something. These plastic ones are really easy to snap off. Oh, there's one down here. Okay. Oh, for the most part, all those are off. It's just this metal one that I'm missing. Okay. The metal zip tie is the only one giving me trouble right. Oh, there we go. I just needed to use two hands, that's all. Oh, and now this pole can come down. So if I wanted to, technically, I could just put the shade cloth on and then take it off, and it's not that easy to take the poles down. But I like to leave it up even during the winter time because the garden still grows even with the shade cloth up, because even though the days are shorter here in the low desert, it's still a lot sunnier during the winter time than a lot of other places, because we don't really have like a real winter. But you know what? The only thing about these, oh yeah, they do have the markings. So I painted them all the way. I painted them a few inches away from the end because I figured you wouldn't be able to see the end very well. But some of the other paint has rubbed off, so I'm just gonna touch everything up. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't look too bad or anything. But this way the poles look a lot neater. Oh my gosh. And then a part of me was thinking about attaching the poles to the cinder block wall, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, if I did that, then technically, I could, if I did attach them to the wall, I could just use a T-post on other trellises that I plan to put up in the garden. But I like having the T-post attached, but I like having the poles for the shade cloth attached to the T-post, just because if for any reason we were to have any crazy storm, I just don't want to do anything to the wall, you know? So I think I'm just gonna keep the, so I think I'll just stick to the T-post for now, right? Yeah, I think I will. Okay, so 1 down, 4 more to go to take down. And I don't know if I'll need a ladder for these, just because the shade cloth is going to be attached. Or maybe I could just snip the ties once I get to the shade cloth. I might also need to go back to the store so that I can pick up some more like line to be able to attach everything. Uh-oh. Oh, 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 oh Lord. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh. I'm just gonna untie this right here. The clothesline works really good to attach things. Over time, it does become a little bit looser, but it still works really good. And it's rather inexpensive. So I like using it. Okay. That wasn't so bad, right? That was really easy, actually. The shade cloth is becoming lower and lower. Whew. What does this one have? This one has zip ties and it has the clothesline thingy. Oh, I gotta be careful over here because this tree has thorns. Oh. Right now I'm just untying it so that I can free the pole. This is what I like about attaching the conduit poles to the T-post, is the fact that if I need to take them down, it's easy to just snip all of the ties and take down the pole. Let's say I wanted to replace the shade cloth, or I needed to retie something or fix something. It's just a lot easier versus if I do drill them into the wall, maybe they would be a lot more secure, but if I needed to take them apart, I just feel like it would be a lot harder for me to remove the bolts. Plus, I don't have a hammer drill or an impact driver. I only have like a regular drill, so I would have to borrow one. And then if I needed to fix something, I would have to go borrow it again. And eventually I'll probably invest in one, but not yet because I have other things I need to buy for the garden. little plants. I feel so bad for them. Ooh, there's a lot of spider webs on here. Okay, and this is the last one. The metal ones are definitely a lot more annoying to take off. I like the plastic ones a lot better for this. And the metal ones that I'm seeing right now aren't even as tight as the plastic ones were. So I might just pick up some more heavy duty plastic ones and use the metal ones to attach all the shade cloth together. But okay, I think that might be it. All right. I have all my poles down and the shade cloth hanging up literally right above my head. So now I'm gonna start removing all of the other stuff I had on here. And some of these are so loose. Like the bolts were definitely on their way to coming undone. So I'm glad I got enough stuff to replace all of them. I'm just gonna start loosening everything up just a little bit more. Okay, there's one. Now this can come off. And then my pole's ready. The sun's gonna go down really, really soon. So this might be all I have time for, is just making the holes. And then I might have to work on painting throughout the week. And then I'll set up the shade cloth hopefully next weekend. I don't know if we have plans though. I think we might have plans. If we do have plans, I'll check my calendar. I might have to just set it up throughout the week. But I still have at least a week before we start hitting the 80s. Once we hit the 80s here in the low desert, I feel like it's a matter of time before we get into the 90s. And once we hit 90 at least once, it's over. It's game over for us. And that's one of the, well, not one of, that's basically the main reason that I want to set all of this up now, is because it heats up so quickly here in the low desert and I don't want any of my plants to scorch. And even now when it's in the 70s, every time I go into Citrus Lane, you can just feel a lot more of the heat, versus the rest of Serendipity feels really nice and fresh because of the fact that we have all of the white shade cloth up over here. And there's still a few pieces of the shade cloth that do have holes in them, and that's just because I probably just didn't drill some of the screws in properly, and with those sticking out and the shade cloth being whipped back and forth, it just created holes. So I might just trim some of those loose strands, but the shade cloth itself is still like in a really good shape. And it was so expensive, so if I have to patch up a few areas, I will, without having to replace the whole thing, just because it was definitely an investment for me. But it also just makes sense because this is serendipity we're talking about. But okay, there's another piece. And on this one, I added zip ties. I don't know why I did that. Okay, I'll take that off at the end. Last year when I was setting up the shade cloth in the first place, so last year I set up this whole shade cloth by myself during the hottest parts of the summer. And I did it during the hottest parts mainly because that's when I finally had enough. It was just getting way too hot. I was scared of losing a bunch of my tropicals. The heat was unbearable, and it was just like my last desperate attempt to try and save the majority of serendipity from being scorched from the sun. And it was so hot last year. When I was working on this project, I would have to wake up super, super early or come out during the late evenings. But even then, I was like drenched in sweat. Um, it was miserable. And once the shade cloth went up, oh my gosh, I started filming a few updates every few days. There was a significant difference in the growth of my plants within just a few days. Plants that weren't doing anything began putting out new growth. Other plants that were scorching stopped scorching, started growing a little bit as well. Basically, the whole garden started waking up again because during the summer it gets so hot that a lot of the plants go into somewhat of a summer dormancy where they don't drop their leaves or anything, but they're not really growing very much. They're not producing fruit. They're not doing anything other than staying alive until it cools down a little bit and then they start growing again. So having the shade cloth up helped me out a ton because some of my plants that weren't growing all of a sudden did start growing, and I started getting fruit productions again. My grapes started taking off like crazy. Everything improved the moment I put the shade cloth up. So I want to have it up this year before summer even hits, because that way it won't be so difficult on the garden once it gets really hot. But okay, I have all of the little attachment things off. Now I'm gonna go ahead and drill all of my holes and attach all of my eyelet screws. And I'm still debating whether to reattach these to the T-post or attach them to the block wall. I feel like